We are live with another Inside Texas Around the League segment, joined by my guy, Coach Hayes, Maggie Johnson, Dave Myrick. Dramatic entry. He'll be in it sometime. Still celebrating, their win, the Sooners win at Neyland Stadium last week. But you two guys, how are y'all doing?
Ladies first.
Oh, I'm doing great. I've enjoyed my bye week. I don't know about you guys, but I like a little bit of time off to be able to sit at home and kind of watch every game, because I have season tickets, so I go to every Mizzou game. And I went to Vanderbilt 2 weeks ago, so I've just kind of enjoyed being able to spend the Saturday watching other games. And my nephew played in the state playoff over in Illinois, so yeah, just been chilling.
Nothing wrong with that at all. Stress-free weekend.
We got a chance to obviously win the cocktail party again. It's nice to see Kirby Smart taking care of his rivals, and what type of game you have, I love it from a coach's perspective. The fan base don't like it because we're getting by the skin of our teeth, it seems, but I see it from that perspective. That makes me feel like we're growing, getting better, and to see us play against our rivals and have another win, with 5 straight against the University of Florida. That's a good feeling going into this next week.
Pete in Florida wouldn't know what that's like right now. Okay, I got to tell you that. A little bit envious of you, I have to say. Before we get into it, guys, before Mr. Myrick joins us, hop on over to InsideTexas.com. Go join right now for $1. You've got all the great analysis over there, whether it be game plan, recruiting. There's a little bit of everything right now. The game day forums, rather. Sorry. A lot of fun right now. You can check out, the full range of emotions over there. But, of course, you got all your guys, Eric, Joe, Paul, Ian, Evan. Now we've got Basketball Rolling, Nash Talks Texas, putting up a lot of content. Y'all go check it out. But let's get into it. So, Coach, we'll start with you first because you just mentioned it a little bit. But What are your main takeaways from surviving the Gators? There's a lot of drama in that game, back and forth. Florida was definitely in that football game. But like Kirby said at the end of the day, they're really hard to kill. And you've seen Georgia continue to find ways to win week in, week out. But what were your takeaways from another survival of a cocktail party?
Cord, we could be just as easily with another couple of losses under our belt. But the thing that I love to see is that you're talking about 4 quarters of football being played consistently ever since really the Tennessee game. Unlike the Alabama game, even with us losing 3 points at home, I still felt like we were in that ball game. And honestly, a couple of decisions differently, we're probably talking about a dub there as well. But still, you love the resiliency you see from the program. You love to see that Coach Smart loves this program, the way he's doing these kids this year, because I feel like through the transfer portal and everybody kind of taking that depth and sort of making it more superficial now across the league, we don't have the same depth. You're seeing more freshmen play than you ever have. You're seeing the growing pains as well. And what I like to see when I'm watching film and breaking stuff down, I always want to be able to say from the previous week, hey, I'd like to see this improve. And then when I get a chance to see it on film and it happens, it gives you a good feeling. Fans are going to fan. They want to win ball games by 40. That time is come and gone. So I like the way we're winning because it shows the resiliency. It shows perseverance. It's almost like they invite it. It's like, I want to have more controversy. I want to have a play where they think they completed a pass when the refs overturn it, or a fumbled forward pass on, one of the downs that we had. There was so much controversy through the officiating, and we could go all day long on that. But what I love about it, and in the same way I always try to make it hard on our guys to always make sure that they could overcome the adversity. And that's what I'm loving. We're very battle resilient. But like I said, there is a very good chance. I mean, a field goal from Tennessee, we're talking about another loss there. And, things go – it just seems like I would love to see, from my standpoint, to kind of look at it from hindsight, is to let us put 4 quarters together. I would love to see that with a little bit higher efficiency, the efficacy that I'd like to see from our pass defense, which has been probably our Achilles heel, and the lack of pass rush, but they're doing things that a lot of people think, because of those limitations, they think that our defense is not very good. But there are some good things that I'm seeing, because I'm seeing growth in those young kids, and obviously the veteran leadership there as well, playing very good ball.
That's well said overall, man. There is a lot of inexperience in that secondary. You are having to have some young pups, if you will, step up. When in times past, they'd have been buried on the depth chart for a little while, because these teams are going to be able to stock talent, 4 or 5-star guys sitting on your 2 deep, sometimes even 3 deep if you're Alabama or Georgia. But it's definitely a different time when it comes to parity, and you're seeing that obviously in the SEC as well as the rest of college football. But they're finding ways to win, man, and that's what's big, because while you are able to see some of this growth, and I agree with you, you have seen a little bit of growth there. It's Kirby Smart defense. They're going to get better. and they're still finding ways to win while they're doing it. And so that is a scary thing. I do love that y'all have to go on the road before we meet up, and we'll talk a little bit more about Texas, Georgia, and what that may look like for both sides in the second half of this show. First, Maggie, we have a question for you that, I mean, it does have to be asked. I saw the question. We got to post it up here. Over under a half blanket delivered.
It's so funny because Billy Lucci came on our podcast today. I've already done a podcast covering the game a little bit today. And he came on and I was telling him about how I was watching Drew, Drew, the A&M. I can't think of his last name. You know who I'm talking about. He's been on the show. Yeah. And his podcast, I pulled it up this morning and he had a blanket draped over his arm. So I'm hoping there's no more gimmicky things this year. I don't know. I never asked questions about it, but yeah, I wasn't happy about that happening.
That's pretty funny.
So under.
Yeah, I think you've learned your lesson a little bit, if you will. That's definitely not something that I'd see, drink. And again, it does appear that, it was done on Missouri's side. Probably don't go that route again, considering how that game played out. But we'll talk again more A&M and Missouri and what that looks like in the second half. This is, still the recap portion. So I want your opinion, Maggie. We've had a lot of opinions from Texas fans on what Texas looks like, because Texas has looked like a lot of different things over the last, the entire season. Through 9 games, we're still hunting that consistency. That like Coach just said, you want to put 4 consistent quarters together of good play. And there hasn't been a single week where I think Texas has done that, whether it be offense lacking, sometimes defense lacking, sometimes both. But at the end of the day, there's some light. There's some light here. You've got 4 straight wins. You're able to take down Oklahoma, win a couple of nail biters. But from an outsider's perspective and standpoint, what are your thoughts on Texas after seeing how that Vanderbilt played out? And with that being said, welcome to the channel, Mr. Myrick. Again, wearing some ugly Thunder gear, but we're gonna allow it. We'll allow it. But yeah, Maggie, your thoughts on the Horns?
I mean, I thought that they actually looked a lot better, especially in the first half of that Vanderbilt game. They did a lot of things I wish Mizzou would have done, that screen pass to, kind of start the game off to St. Louis's own Ryan Wingo. I wish we would have ran more of that stuff, because that's kind of what we thrived on in the past couple of years with Luther Burden and Theo Weiss, like running that kind of offense. I think that Texas is finally coming into their own. Obviously, they gave up a little bit of a comeback. I don't really know if it was ever close enough where I thought that Vanderbilt was going to win that game. Obviously, the onside kick and whatever, it should have been a bigger 2-point spread. They didn't get that 2-point conversion. Obviously, I think everybody kind of agrees with that. I really do think that they're coming into their own. I think Arch Manning's coming around, has really talented receivers. It's a really talented defense. I'm excited to see kind of I don't play them, so I'm excited to see them kind of come around a little bit more. But yeah, I was pleasantly surprised by how they played against Vanderbilt.
I mean, a lot of Texas fans were as well. I think a lot of us had some hope in what we saw to the offense in the second half against Mississippi State. But that doesn't mean that you go out and immediately replicate that. You gotta have a good offensive line effort. You gotta have a good game plan. Gotta have good quarterback play. You've yet to really tie all 3 together in the game until Vandy. I will say that. Coach, you are an X's and O's wizard. You've seen a lot of tape, a lot of film. What do you think Texas is maybe doing a little bit differently on the offensive side of the football in comparison to maybe like the Florida game, where they're allowing 37 pressures or hurries? And, is there any big noticeable schematic differences that you see from then to now?
What I'm seeing comfortably, because I've broken down 3 different games, just broke down the Mississippi State this week because that's who we're playing, but I broke down the game against Texas, so I watched a lot of that as well. Obviously, them against Florida, because we preface Florida as well. I think, one thing Sark's trying to do with Arch now is he's trying to get the ball out quicker. He's always been an eye candy pre-snap kind of guy that makes defenses have to be disciplined before the ball is snapped. That's something that I would hate as a defensive coordinator having to prep for, because you have to keep guys disciplined in their box to know where they've got to go. But I think he's trying to do some things to, RPO and having the opportunity to get the ball out quick, satisfying throws that are high efficiency throws, high efficacy throws. And I think that's something that he's trying to do and help. It also, too, the offensive line doing their job and he has time to throw. I'm seemingly feeling like that I see more accuracy from him. I still find it's just that boneheaded play where he'll make a throw that just makes me go, wow. And then he'll throw another one. He's liable to kill the mascot on the sideline, the way he throws it sometimes. So it's weird to see the mechanics of how he does things, but I think that's what they're trying to do, is just put him in higher efficiency passing schemes to where he can get the ball out quicker and get a chance to, let those playmakers outside do their job. So that's what I'm seeing through the ball games that I've watched thus far. It does help too that the running game is trying to be improved as well, because to establish the run game helps the play action, helps the RPO game as well.
Yeah, I fully agree with you, man. The ball's coming out a lot quicker. They put a lot more emphasis on the quick game. The screen game looks like Sarkisian teams from the past in comparison to, Texas dialing up a lot of deep shots, going with some max protection early in the season and really trusting some young tight ends to stand up in the blocking department. And honestly, we haven't done so. Finally, maybe have our 5 best overall offensive linemen in the program all on the field at the same time. Our left guard play, let's just call it how it's been. It's been pretty poor so far up until this point. And Cole Hudson stepped in last week, looked the best at a left guard who's looked for Texas in the 9 games. Brother Dave, it's good to have you here, man. We're gonna get right into your big win in just a moment, man. But considering how dead this Texas program was, from maybe a national media perspective after the Florida game going into Oklahoma, kind of what are your takes away, man? Because I hate to say it, but Oklahoma y'all kind of need Texas to win just a little bit here, and vice versa almost.
Yeah, first of all, hello, everybody. What a cast we've got. It's always great to have Coach Hayes on and Maggie. This is the first time we've done anything together. Though we've become Twitter BFFs after I called her head coach a dork, which he is, but she's cool, and Missouri's good.
You just embrace it.
It's kind of weird listening to you guys talk about Texas because Oklahoma kind of mirrors them. You look at the rankings, they're 11-12. They both have 2 losses. They've both been written off. And neither one has played 4 quarters of football. And that's exactly what I see looking at Texas. Their best football is still ahead of them. And that's kind of a scary thought. They were able to get, through those 2 games, the Mississippi State, Kentucky games, to where it kind of looked iffy there. Once they got that over the hump and got wins in both, that's kind of when I thought, look out for Texas football. Art's starting to play better. Before the Cotton Bowl, your boy Josh Manning kind of argued with me. He's like, well, Sark's too boneheaded, too stubborn. He won't change his offense for more quick passes. He didn't have a choice. They couldn't protect it up long enough to dial the deep shots. They have. The ball's coming out quicker. When he's accurate, they're a very tough team to beat with that defense. So there's Josh. Yeah, man. I was right. You were wrong is the point of that. But no, man. Both right now are right, exactly where they wanted to be. Everything's still out ahead of them in Texas with that defense. And anybody that might play Texas, just don't kick it to Ryan Niblett, and you got a great chance to win the football game. Beyond that, no, I like where Texas is. I like the trend right now seems to be going up for Texas, especially getting the 5 offensive linemen on the field. The most talented Oklahoma, there's so many similarities between these two. And I think both have done a good job of finally figuring out who those 5 on the O-line is going to be moving forward. It's somewhat important.
Yeah, really well said, man. There's a lot of, similar quality or traits, stats, quarterback numbers, between the 2 programs right now. Obviously, you mentioned that the playoff rankings came out last night, looking at 11 and 12 for both. They both kind of need each other to win. We're in a really odd state. That's never really been the case. Back in the day, we're fighting for Big 12 South titles and Big 12 championship appearances. And so we're like every week in and week out. Not that I'm rooting for Oklahoma by any means, but when they win, it becomes a little bit bittersweet because we're like, okay, we needed that. And so although I predicted Tennessee to win that game last weekend and really did think the Vols would win it, at the end of the day, I was like, yeah, okay, I can live with this, which is a really unique and peculiar feeling. But like you said, Dave, and like Coach mentioned, there's a little bit of a ground attack, and that is something that Texas is going to have to continue to do going forward. As Mr. Bart loves to bring up here, where's this comment at? Mr. Bart loves to bring up and reference the fact that Texas throwing a lot of screens. The ball is thrown behind the line of scrimmage a little bit. And, Mr. Colin Arch, a screen merchant. I've seen that all over Twitter the last few days. But, hey, what is happening right now is you're making linebackers, you're making safeties freeze a little bit and play a hair slower. The defensive line obviously can't fire off the ball quite the same as they would be on a drawback pass with max protection where they know we're going to take a downfield shot. And that alone, it can help the ground game out a little bit. So laugh if you will, Bart, but until it doesn't work, I'm sure we're going to see a lot more screens, which we've kind of been asking for. And I will say the one difference, Dave, I will say is I've been asking what from Oklahoma. It's you as well. Like, give the ball to Xavier Robinson, give the ball to Torrey Blaylock, get some type of running game going, commit to the run. You saw that more in the second half with Tennessee. With Texas, I'm like, hey, let's spread it out and throw it around and just take a 3, 4, 5 yard run every few plays to keep the defense honest a little bit. But hey, maybe we're capable of more. So I will say that before we dive into talking about Oklahoma and their win against Tennessee, we're going to go ahead and hear a word from our sponsor, Mr. David McClellan.
Big financial decisions don't have to feel overwhelming. There's someone who can guide you every step of the way. David McClellan is a fiduciary financial advisor with Forum Financial, and he's working closely with his clients as a true financial life coach, guiding every aspect of your financial journey with expertise and care. If his name sounds familiar, that's because David was a swimmer at Texas and a member of several national championship teams. Today, he channels that same championship mindset into helping people win with their finances. David specializes in financial planning, and he's contributed numerous articles to Kiplinger on the topic of retirement tax bombs. And right now, David is offering viewers a free intro consultation to assess your financial situation. Do not miss this chance to get personalized guidance from a trusted expert. To schedule your free consult, email David at dmcclellan@forumfinancial.com, or you can call him directly at 312-933-8823. The contact info is in the description.
There you go, guys. And we are going to talk Tennessee OU, but Mr. All Right 3 Squared, since you asked it. And again, we will talk more Texas, Georgia in the back half of the show. But yeah, Ryan Wingo is going to be on the field. He's going to be starting. He'll be suited up, ready to go. I don't think there's any scenario. He's not going to be 100% with the way that, it's a dislocated finger. He's going to play, and you got to have him out there and just pray that he does hold on and catch the ball, because there's a lot of confidence right now. And when he has the ball in his hands, he's been damn hard to tackle. So got to have Ryan Wingo out there. But for now, Dave, you and I don't think we had a lot of, we weren't just exuding confidence in Oklahoma last week going into this game. Thought that they could hang around, thought that they would play well. But honestly, I expected Tennessee to move the football a little bit better. I think they did well in the first half. But, man, that fumble return sure seemed to flip that game on its head. And after that, and especially in the second half, Oklahoma kind of dominated it. But what were your takeaways, brother?
Yeah, I mean, look, Xavier Robinson is really good at football. That's known. It was known last year. Why it took 7 games a season ago to get this guy carries, I don't know. Why it took 7 this year, again, I don't know, but they're a better team when that happens. They didn't do it in the first half at Tennessee. The offense was putrid. I mean, beyond pathetic. 89 total yards. I think they were just about to eclipse their total yards and penalty yardage. That's how bad this was. Whatever the reason was, they finally went to the ground game in the second half. And you know what? It works. Beyond that, it takes pressure off John Mateer, where he doesn't have to feel like he's got to be a hero. I mean, if anybody's watched the guy since the Texas game, he looks like he's pressing, like he feels like he's got to do everything for this offense. When you can turn around, hand off to a running back that gets 6-7 yards on first down, that opens everything up. It's amazing a guy as smart as Ben Arbuckle didn't know that. But once he figured it out, yeah, they were pretty tough to stop. The defense sat back, a lot of 2 and 3 high. They gave up yardage between the 20. They would bow up and force field goals or take the football away. That's why I think Tennessee's, total yardage was a little bit higher than people thought it might be. That won't be the game plan for Oklahoma every week, but it was that week and worked out okay. Now, to the negatives, you cannot turn the football over 2 times on the road. You cannot have 11 penalties for 106 yards. The play call in the fourth quarter on the road leading late in the fourth was the dumbest ass play call I've seen this season. There is no excuse to throw the football on 1st and 10. When you've got a lead with the football, they do that. It's picked off. I mean, despite their damnedest to give this game to Tennessee, the talent outweighed the bad coaching. Finally, that happened for Oklahoma, and they got over the hump and won a game. But I'll tell you what, it's got to get cleaned up a whole lot in 10 days down in Tuscaloosa. But this team showed, I mean, if they play clean football and they don't beat themselves, they can beat a lot of teams. I mean, that defense is nasty. Xavier Robinson's good. So there were good things to take away. It was the second time this year they've gone on the road and won an SEC game after a loss, and that is showing tremendous growth with Brent Venables. That's not easy to do for anybody. It has not been easy for Brent Venables to win a road game, period, and to do it twice in the SEC. Won the first night game at Neyland this year with that environment. Not a lot of teams are going to walk out of there last Saturday with a win. They did, so I've got to tip my cap. That at least shows some progress. Getting the same five on the offensive line in a rhythm, getting some continuity, and getting the best guys on the field. Bill Bedenbaugh's really good, but he's not been good at playing highly touted true freshmen. For whatever reason, they just don't play. Mike Fasusi kind of forced his hand. Now he's kind of getting the rest up there. And lo and behold, they're the most talented guys on campus over Kennesaw State and Appalachian State transfers, and they're holding their own in the SEC. All that combined is why they finally got a run game going. They're able to protect the material a little bit, and you saw that offense come to life and start to click in the second half. So hopefully that's kind of heading the right direction.
No, definitely, man. If you're able to add a run element to that air raid offense that Arbuckle and Mateer have shown that they can be explosive with, you have guys that are quick and twitchy and can get downfield, and it creates the explosive plays, obviously, through the passing game. Canuck's been a plus at tight end. You want to have a complete offense, man. You got to be able to block for John Mateer, keep that guy healthy. But, yeah, you saw him kind of just free up in the second half. It helps when you're throwing to guys that are running pretty scot-free. They've got 8 to 10 yards of separation because, hey, we found something in the ground game here. Coach, what were your takeaways from, you've got plenty of experience with Neyland Stadium and what it takes to win there. What do you think about Oklahoma's performance?
I was going to tell Dave the same thing, because something he and I have been hashing out over the last few weeks is where were they stumping their toe at, basically. And I said it started up front. I said, John Mateer, he cannot be the primary ball carrier. He can't be the leading rusher every week. And I think he said it very well in the fact that he doesn't have to go out there and press. If you can establish the run game, find that chemistry of 5 down linemen that are going to go out there and execute at the highest level. And all of a sudden you've got a run game that doesn't depend on, Mateer to make all the rushing plays, to make all those high level runs, those explosive runs. Now you can add him as a true +1 quarterback, add him into the diversity of what you're doing offensively. That opens up the passing game, obviously getting Sartania, is that how I say it? I think it is. Involved in the passing game as well. And, Brent Venables already brings the ideal philosophy of the defense in there as well. So they're playing, the defensive level play is up there. If they can match that and start showing the consistency in their offensive run game, their offensive run attack, that helps, Mateer out as well. And going forward, I see that being something that could help them, get hot at the right time.
That's really well said. Gigam Bart says he thinks the Sooners will shock the world, but Dave, you weren't at Neyland, right?
No, I was on the road with another college team. Actually, just able to watch just a little bit of it, and I had to fake it on the franchise post game. Like, I'd watch the entire thing start to finish. Luckily, I got enough texts from people and friends. I was able to kind of get a grasp of it. Went back and watched it when I got home Sunday, and it was frustrating because you kind of expect a certain thing with Oklahoma football. It's not there yet, but you can see they're building towards that. It's just, for me, it all comes down to don't beat yourself, play a clean football game. I can live with the results if you do that and you lose. It's the turnovers and the penalties that keep coming back. It didn't come back to haunt them this week. It did last week, but I don't think you can afford to do either one in Tuscaloosa and come out with a win.
And kudos to you, because I think I avoided actually Cord's question about Neyland Stadium. But to have a win in Neyland Stadium, especially at night with all the things that go on there, I mean, I've watched some voodoo things happen there. So kudos to you guys for the win at night in Neyland. That place is loud, over 100,000 strong. And to have that's nice on the resume as well.
And to have a kicker that steps up and makes the kicks that he was making, because I don't know if y'all have watched a lot of Missouri football, but our kicker went out with an ACL injury in week 1 against Central Arkansas trying to make a tackle, and it's completely killed us in some of these games. So just being able to watch Oklahoma's kicker I know for sure he made a 51-yarder. I don't quite remember what the other long one was, but when you're not able to score in the red zone, or when the field gets smaller, having a reliable kicker is huge, and Oklahoma definitely has one of those.
That's such a great point. I can't believe I didn't bring that up. Yeah, Tate Sandell, 3 50-plus yard field goals at Neyland, 2 55-yard field goals and a 51-yarder. Unbelievable. And he was wearing Daisy Dukes. I
was about to say he had free leg motion with the way he was kicking. I mean, it was pretty simple there.
He's been the MVP of OU this year.
I believe he had 201 yards of made field goals on only 4 attempts. That is bananas. You don't see that. There are pro kickers who rarely have, a 3+ 50-yard field goal game in their career, much less, just a random Saturday in college. Definitely a guy, Maggie, great point, that has to be referenced. I think it's monumentous for Brent Venables to get that win just for what his future at Oklahoma looks like. If this is a situation where they lose 3 or 4 down the stretch and they finish the season with 4 or 5 losses, there's going to be a lot of people, me included, they're going to say, hey, it's probably time. Now all of a sudden he's found this win. We'll see what he does with these last 3. It's not going to be easy. None of them. You got Alabama, LSU, Missouri there. That's a tough stretch. But there's a lot more, in my opinion. I feel like he had to take a sigh of relief after that one, as far as when he thinks about his future and being Oklahoma's coach just, here in a couple of months. That's a really, really big win for Brent Venables, for that group. But when you have really good defense in the red zone, like you said, Dave, you're able to bow up when you need to, because a good offense like Tennessee is going to move the football some. You saw what they did against Georgia. You've seen what they do against other quality defenses this year. And then you have a kicker like Tate Sandell, who could make one from Columbia, Missouri, when playing at Neyland Stadium. Pretty impressive. And then you have an offense that's figured out something, seems to be figuring out something with the O-line and with the ground attack. And then what material these receivers are capable of. And I think a lot of it, it's scheme related, how open some of these guys can get. And so, yeah, I mean, they're a lot. Once again, we were kind of doom and gloom with OU's chances for the remainder of the season last week. Not trying to get over, or pump too much sunshine, but start to look and say, hey, Oklahoma can probably play with any of those teams down the stretch. Tennessee did have a couple of big injuries in the secondary leading up to that game, and then had another couple on the defensive line. But I mean, hey, so win's a win, and they dominated the second half. It wasn't particularly close at all after kind of getting dominated in the first half, and that's where you go win football games in the second half. And so credit to Oklahoma doing that. And I don't want to say anything else about it. It's kind of making me nauseous. Way too much positive talk about Brent Venables and about Oklahoma. But all right, Maggie, what for coming into this A&M game, what were some things with Vanderbilt? Obviously it's a game that you very easily could have won.
We should have won it. We statistically won. We statistically won that game. We statistically beat Alabama. Like I said a bit ago, we're one of the worst Power 4 teams, one of the worst FBS teams in special teams. But that's what happens when you don't have any kicker. I think we have a true freshman. I think we're the only SEC team with our backup kicker is a true freshman. And, he's never made those kicks in those big games. And they were big games. They're like top 15 ranked games. So that was a killer for us. The problem is, for me right now, is I don't know what Kirby Moore is doing. Play calling, because everybody has heard of Ahmad Hardy, right? First few games that Ahmad Hardy game, he came out, and obviously you're playing Kansas, you're playing South Carolina, it might not be the best that you're playing, but then you go into Alabama and he rushes 12 times. 12. He's been rushing 20, 25, close to 30 times a game, and he's doing that. It's hard to keep something going. It's hard to keep, that momentum going when you're changing things up like that. You see us not being able to score in the red zone. That happened multiple times against Vanderbilt as well. So that's kind of been my frustrations. I'm not saying let's fire them like South Carolina is doing with their stuff. But I think that we're going to have to see a lot better offensive called game to beat Texas A&M this weekend.
What's the status of Mr. Bo Prabula? I know obviously he's not going to be playing this weekend, but is there any hard timeline for his return?
I would bet that it wouldn't be until a bowl game. And I'm not saying that we can't make a playoff game. It's very much of a long shot. We would have to win this weekend and then win out for that to happen. I'm not going to say that I think that that's going to happen. Right now you're playing a true freshman quarterback, right? Like I said, we don't have a kicking game. There's a lot of things. Our defense can keep us in these games, but I don't think that they can keep us in games enough to make a playoff. So I'm thinking a bowl game return for Bo Prabula.
Okay.
Unless Zollers plays great, which he might. He played great at the end of the Vanderbilt game.
He did. He did look good.
I think he had more yards than we allowed Diego Pavia to have the entire game. Zollers had in the quarter and a half that he played.
I mean, that's an impressive feat in its own. We just watched Diego do most of his work in the fourth quarter against us, so I can't say anything about Diego's stats because he ended up with really good ones. But is there any tinkering going on with the kicker? Have you tried out personally?
You don't want to watch me. Did you watch College Game Day a few weeks ago when it was at Alabama and that girl came out and kicked the ball and it went like 3 feet? You don't want to watch me kick a ball. I played only handball sports growing up, so you don't want to watch me try. But I do wish they would. When I see those people doing it, people doing it on College Game Day and making 30, 35 yarders, and mind you, our kicker missed a 29 last week and he's missed like 2 extra points. I'm like, well, could we maybe get one of those guys to come in here? Because they're nailing 30, 35, 40 yarders. So.
Well, that's what I was about to say. We're setting you up, Bart. It's going to be Maggie, actually, that gets out there and kicks a game-winning walk-off field goal against A&M.
I would be like that guy. If you watched, it was all over when we played Kansas, and the fan went out there and he was going to win like $10,000 if he made a kick, and he just turned around and kicked it at the Kansas bench. It was like he had like one leg. It was awesome. That would be me.
Yeah, I respect that a lot. And honestly, it's great for content. You know what I mean? You'd go down in lore forever. He does have a question for you real quick, referencing your tweet that you made. Maggie tweeted something that maybe in Texas and LSU fans have been right this whole time in reference to a certain fan base, I'm assuming. But Maggie, why don't you clear that up for Bart? Because I think some of us misunderstood.
Okay, so if you guys, obviously people that listen to the show, they know Joy, right? They know Daily Joy. She comes on this show. She's a great friend of mine, came up and went to the Bragging Rights game with me. If you follow her, you know she doesn't like Texas A&M, and you know that there's reasons that she doesn't like Texas A&M.
Understandable.
And I've never really had issues with Texas A&M before. But I made a couple of tweets the last 24, 36 hours, whatever. And I've gotten some interesting responses from them about, you know, my gender and my marital status and things like that, which are completely inappropriate. So I made that tweet. And now I'm not saying that I'm always gonna be on the side of Texas and LSU. I just don't play them this year. So I don't have a week leading up to a game. So, you know, we're gonna be on their side. Next week, I told somebody next week it'll probably be a nice little refresher. We play Mississippi State and prepare me for the week after, which will probably be hell because we play OU. So, you know, it'll be Twitter hell whenever we play OU. So I'm not saying I'm not saying it's going to be forever that I'm on LSU and Texas's side, but this week I am on LSU and Texas's side of those.
Ford, I don't know how you put up with A&M fans, man. I got to say it. Like, they're the most delusional fan base I've ever seen. Like, they were completely quiet preseason. They won like 3 games, and you would think they won the national championship. They don't really have anything in their trophy case. In fact, nothing that I'm aware of. And they talk like more than Alabama, Clemson even. I mean, I've never seen a base like talk more while accomplishing less in my entire life.
Well, they did tweet about all the stuff that they've done more than Missouri, but none of it was in football. They put like this tweet up with all these numbers, and I was like, do you want to like use the sport that we're talking about here? But I'm not saying that they have a bad athletic department. I don't think that they have a bad athletic department. I just don't know if they've been uber successful on the football side.
I do like Gig and Bart.
Sorry, Bart. You asked.
I do like.
I
Bart.
answered.
But there are some out there that I really do like, and the majority of what I'm talking about are friends of ours that went to A&M, and yeah, they're over the top. But I can see Coach Hayes is like, can we please get back to football exit?
Oh no, not at all. I'm enjoying the conversation. I am really.
That's been I knew that, you know, we started talking to Maggie about that Twitter stuff, which Bart made it easy. He was like, hey, go ahead and discuss it. I got a question for you. That there'd be some fun. And like Maggie mentioned, Oklahoma and Missouri is coming up too. And that is a Twitter rivalry that might be more intense than a lot more intense than A&M and Mizzou has become. But we'll keep going. We'll keep battling it out. We're going to hear another word from our sponsor, Luxe Kitchen and Bath, before we do so.
Are you ready to love your kitchen and bathroom again? Luxe Kitchen and Bath will bring that to life. Luxe has been offering high-end kitchen and bathroom remodels for 3 generations throughout the greater Austin area. With 5-star review after 5-star review on Google and Facebook and an A+ rating from the Better Business Bureau, you can put your faith in Luxe Kitchen and Bath's award-winning designers and skilled craftspeople to bring your dream vision to life. But that's not all. Luxe's all-star team also provides full home remodels, large additions, and even commercial build-outs as well. So call Luxe Kitchen and Bath at 833-358-LUXE today, or visit luxekitchenbath.com to discover where quality meets luxury and begin the process of transforming your home. Get your free quote today by calling 833-358-LUXE. That's LUXE, or by visiting luxekitchenbath.com. Contact info is in the description.
Well, you got the Oklahoma and Missouri, Oklahoma or Missouri A&M Twitter beef this week. You got Missouri and Oklahoma coming up soon. All teams need to win out essentially to make the playoff between the three or the four of us here. Coach Hayes and his dogs still have a little wiggle room. There's a scenario where you have 7 SEC teams going and finishing 10-2, which is pretty insane. Parity, more so than ever. You saw the college football playoff rankings released. 5 ACC or SEC teams, or 6 SEC teams in the top 12, or is it 5?
I think 5.
I think it's 5. Okay. So obviously, very, very big long shot that they all get in. But for this weekend, Coach, do you have any fears, worries, qualms with Mississippi State? Because obviously we were seeing Georgia. We're going to be seeing Georgia for 10 days. We got all eyes on the dogs, and we need it, obviously, considering the way both games went last year. But this is not a super comfortable spot for me if I'm a Georgia fan going into Starkville.
No, and I'm sorry I didn't feel like we wanted to move on from that conversation. I was enjoying the dialogue there between all of y'all in that situation, because we have to deal with the delusion fan base of Tennessee over the years. I live in Northwest Georgia, so Tennessee to me is a little bit differently than the people who hate Florida from South Georgia. But still, though, nonetheless, taking what you just said, the parity in football where it's at right now, I don't even, honestly, to tell you the truth, Cora, I haven't looked at Texas as much as I have more Mississippi State this week. I think Jeff Levy is doing a phenomenal job. You talking about bringing a culture and a climate into a program where these kids are coming in and they're playing hard for their head coach. I see a kid that left us and vacated Georgia from the portal and Anthony Evans, and he's having a great year this year. Him and his number one receiver beside him, he's the slot. The Z and him are both, I think they're combined right now for over 1,300 yards passing, quarterback with over 2,000 yards passing. I am not taking anything for granted. I've told everybody since we played Tennessee at Neyland, I said, all the fan bases ask me, Coach, what's going on? What can we do to improve? And I'm telling them all these things to say, guys, the consistency of us winning games like we did in 21 and 22 are gone. You've got to understand that we've got to go out and compete for 4 quarters. And even doing that, we may still be in a 1-score ball game. And I said, it doesn't change. I said, we got to go out to Cowbell Hell out there in Starkville and try to deal with a home, field advantage that's going to be, I think, exemplary for them. I mean, these guys were, I think, 4-0 bringing Tennessee, should have beat Tennessee. Heck, they were neck and neck with Texas as well. There's a great opportunity there, and that just goes to show that team plays very well for their head coach. I really like his investment in what he's doing. I watched his show on the Any Given Saturday that they put out. I really thought they did a good job with presenting him and what he's trying to do for that program. So I'm going to give you the coach speak, almost like what Coach Smart would say. We take it one day at a time. We are looking to Mississippi State only, and we've got to go out and play 4 quarters and win that ball game. But, I think if there's anything that we see, a lot of people are trying to compare it to like Kentucky, in that regard as far as the team is concerned. I think when you're playing at home, they're playing at home and we're having a visit. It's an 11 o'clock game. It's very hard to get up for those kind of games. A lot of the times you're just dealing with a lot of issues that just tend to be uncomfortable for the visiting team. So what I would love to be able to see is for us to go out and execute for 4 quarters, give us some confidence, give us that boost as we prepare, obviously, for Texas the next week. But Any Given Saturday is definitely what it should be. And I think with the parity that we see now, we can't take anything for granted. I think Jeff Levy's got them playing well, and we got to go in and execute for 4 quarters.
Yeah, it's really well said all around, top to bottom. I guarantee you Kirby's not letting the guys in that locker room think about Texas right now. There's no talk whatsoever about Texas because you do have a tough little road game that you have to go handle in Starkville. Unfortunately, we know something about Cowbell Hell, and I'm okay to say it. Mississippi State should have won that football game. They should have beaten Florida, probably should have beaten Tennessee. this is not a team who is as bad as the record says. They definitely play super damn hard. They really, really do. Play really, really hard in the blowout loss in Austin last year. Obviously, we saw what they did with Texas this year. You lose to Tennessee in a tight one. Should have beaten Florida. And then they finally break through and they beat Arkansas. Now, you're looking at every game they play, and they're in the game. They're not going to blow anybody out because they don't have the defense, obviously. But I do think Jeff Lebby is making that offense the type of offense that he wants to run. They're uber speedy out there with Brennan Thompson and Anthony Evans. You saw Anthony Evans have the game winner last week. He's from like 15 miles down the road from me. So I'm kind of rooting for that kid. No offense, coach.
Yeah.
Blake Shapen will probably turn the ball over a time or two. You know what I mean? But I'll also think he'll probably have a pretty big day through the air.
Mm-hmm.
But on the flip side of it, that Mississippi State defense is probably going to concede a lot of yards and a lot of points to Gunnar Stockton in that offense because they've shown that they can move the football on just about anybody. Struggled last week a little bit, obviously, with again, I'm going to sit here and scream Florida's an underrated defense all day long. But I actually do mean that. I really, really do. And so I wouldn't surprise to see Florida keep that one pretty tight. But again, Georgia survives. I'll ask Maggie, Dave, whoever wants it, or if both of you want to share an opinion. Is there any chance at an upset here for Lebby's Bulldogs?
I'll be honest. If Mississippi State is gonna upset a team, I would rather it be this week than be next week. Because we have them next week, and they're sitting at 5 wins right now. I think they were picked to maybe win like 3 or 4 games. I mean, this is a hungry team. Like you said, they play really hard. I don't know if I want them coming into Columbia for a night game, our senior night, and having all of these what if games. I mean, obviously we can still beat them. I think we're also more talented than they are, just like Georgia is. But if they are going to upset somebody, I would rather it be, Georgia than it be us.
Yeah, I mean, I was very familiar with Jeff Lebby, of course, here at Oklahoma for a time. I thought his offense was genius, Coach. They spread you 50.5 yards across, make you play in a box up front. You have to be really sound on the defensive line, which I think Georgia is. But the scary thing, you get a quarterback in rhythm like Blake Shapen and the speed they've got on the outside with guys like Brennan Thompson, they can beat you over the top numerous times in a game. That crowd gets behind them. I mean, funky things can happen in Starkville. That being said, no. I mean, it's Kirby Smart. It's Georgia. I don't care if it's close going the fourth. They will do Georgia Kirby Smart things and win the game. But look, Jeff Lebby's got to go in the right direction. I think he's right there where he's kind of a pain in the butt for SEC teams this year. But next year, I see him start to get over some humps and start to actually get these wins. I don't think it's going to be an easy game for the Bulldogs.
And isn't that great for college football, though, if you think about it? When you think about Vandy, you think about Mississippi State, some of these seller teams that we've had in the SEC, by bringing in the brands of Texas and Oklahoma and seeing these programs grow. I just did a thing today where I basically tiered off all 16 SEC teams based off the new rankings and paired them against all the Big Ten teams, top 16. You can't do all 16 because there's 18 in the Big Ten of all things. But putting them side by side and just say, hey, let's let them line down and just play football. We'll, screw the transitive property. Let's look at them head to head and let them get after it. And I really looked at, looking at those head to heads, it was really cool to see. I pay a lot of money to watch those games be played just to shut some people up because it drives me insane. But I think it's great for college football. I think what we're seeing, even though to the fans, it's kind of making the heart rate goes up. It makes the pulse go up. But to see those games like you watched Cord against, Vandy seemingly in control the entire game. And in the last 2 minutes, you probably collar got a little tighter. It's the same thing with Oklahoma. Tennessee tried to make it hard for Oklahoma there at home. They're close towards the end. But, that's the thing that I want to be able to see is good, well-fought ball games that just shows that parity that we talk about in college football in today's time. It's great, I think, for the sport.
It really is.
And I love how you mentioned the Big 10, Big 18 or whatever, because surely every team in the SEC is in the Southeast, right?
True. Just a little bit. Yeah, maybe. Sort of, kind of.
At least we all connect to one another. We're all still, there's some type of.
We're the most geographically sound conference still. Like, regardless of where you want to say Oklahoma is or where you want to say Missouri is, it still makes the most sense.
We all touch each other. That's the point.
Yeah, it did blow me away to see that out of those teams, Purdue and Wisconsin had to be left out of the comparison of 16-16 just to line them up. Those were the bottom two. That was the cellar dwellers for the Big Ten, was Purdue and Wisconsin.
Those are two institutions that have been members of that conference for a very, very long time. And so it's just like, which I know Texas and OU are new too, and we kind of help boost the SEC at the moment. But it is pretty crazy, man. And obviously Texas and Oklahoma's wins last weekend. They set up some old blood versus new blood, big time matchups next weekend. But first, we're gonna have to have a little bit of prediction for Maggie's big game this weekend. I'll start. I would love nothing more for the Missouri to win this game. I can't even tell you how little Twitter fun it is during the college football season to get on there and not be able to make fun of A&M. Davis told me numerous times my best work is when I'm making fun of Aggies, and there just hasn't been much to make fun of right now. There really hasn't. With that being said, I still think Elko's got a really good thing going on right now. I think their defense will be improved from the last couple of weeks. They needed a bye week. And again, I just don't know if I trust Missouri to score enough points. I'll just keep it short, Maggie. I'm not trying to body you, and maybe I jinx you. I would love, I'm telling you, I will be pulling for Missouri, obviously.
Hurt my feelings.
Coach, who you got? Ags on the road at Mizzou Saturday afternoon. Is there a chance we see an upset? Top 3 team going down?
With Drink, I've been wanting to see him become relevant. It's just like with Vandy. I felt like they became relevant enough to make that game at Texas to be something that was worth playing for there, and y'all showed up and did what you needed to do. Drink needed to have a signature game this year. He had Bama in their backyard, didn't take care of business there. They go to Vandy. They need a win there because Vandy's obviously showing the relevance they had this year. Don't get the win there. If there's going to be that signature win for Drink, and it seems to me it's almost like they're becoming the, I hate to say it, but the James Franklin Penn State team of the SEC is not being able to get that signature win that puts them over the top, that makes you feel like, we've arrived. We've actually got to a place that shows us being in the upper echelon of the SEC. This would be that signature win. Unfortunately, I just don't think I don't think Missouri has the power, the manpower to take care of what Texas A&M. I think it's going to be an explosive game. I do think I'll be surprised because if you look at Ahmad Hardy, if he has a good day running the football and Zellers can take from throwing, to the opposite colored jersey and they control the clock and keep the ball out of Texas A&M's hands, that could present a good game where you're seeing more of a battle going into the fourth quarter. But I just think Texas A&M is going to pull away towards the end. I think you're probably looking at a 7 to a 10-point a win for Texas A&M. But I think Missouri makes it tough for them.
That's a good point that you made. They are, they're due for that kind of like, hey, this program is here type of win. And it's like, okay, well, there are a lot of teams that are due for that. Well, yeah, but Missouri's been in some really dang good spots to pull that off. And I sit here, I had Missouri beating Alabama earlier this year. I really like what they have with Ahmad Hardy.
I did too.
Zollers, I will say this, he looks really comfortable when he's throwing to his first read. In the Vanderbilt game, I think he threw at his first read, 20 of 23, 24, 25 passing attempts, but they were open and he looked comfortable doing it. So I think, you might see an A&M team try to take that first read away. And then what does Zollers look like after that? Dave, what are your thoughts?
Pretty much the same. I mean, if there's a formula for Missouri to win, it's limit A&M possessions. You do that on the ground with Ahmad Hardy. You protect your freshman quarterback and you try to give him easy completions to kind of keep that thing in rhythm. But Mike Elko is really good. He's a great defensive mind. They've got the athletes up front to kind of contain Hardy in that Mizzou rushing game, one of the few defenses that can. So I hate to say it, and I do hate to say it, I think A&M comes in to win. I mean, I think it's going to be a good game, third, fourth quarter, and you'll see something happen. A&M starts to pull away, maybe a late touchdown to win by 10 or so.
I heard somebody say this, and I think that this is the best way it's phrased. The best defense this week will be to keep the offense off the field, right? So we've just got to find a way. And that's what we've done in all the games that we've won, except for Vanderbilt, where we did win the time of possession because we won every statistical category against Vanderbilt, was to own that time of possession. We have to stay out of third and longs. Texas A&M's, I'm pretty sure, the best team in the country at limiting third down conversions. And you can't let them pull away in the second half. Texas A&M has outscored their opponents in the second half 103-48. and held 4 of 5 of those to less than 7 points in that second half. So you can't get yourself into a situation where you let up. Even if in the first half you're comfortable, you just can't get there. With all of that said, we still have a true freshman quarterback playing. He still hasn't faced any defense. I mean, Auburn's defense is really good. Alabama's defense is good. Texas A&M's is probably, I mean, it's the best one he's faced because he wasn't the starter in those games.
True.
But yeah, I still don't think that I can pick Missouri to win this game. I would love for them to just keep it close, to be like, okay, this is the new era. This is the Matt Zollers era, and things are going to be okay. I would love to see that happen. Obviously, don't get into a situation like you did last year where you go in there and you get absolutely whooped. Because then that just shows the committee that they're right about you, because they did move us. They did move us quite a bit down. The CFP moved us, I think, 3 or 4 spots back from where the AP had us. So I don't think that they have much faith in us with Zollers at QB. I do think it'll be, like you said, a 7 to 10 point game, relatively low scoring, somewhere in the 20s. I think Mizzou's defense is really good. It is really good. If you've watched it, it's good. That front 7 that's why these games have been what they are. Our offense can't score, but it's not our defense that have lost us any of these games. You got Damon Wilson, that obviously came over from Georgia. You got Zion Young that came from Michigan State. So we've got these dogs that have really stepped in, but I just don't know if the offense can score enough. So yeah, I'm thinking somewhere around like 30 to 23-ish, something like that.
Yeah, it hurts my feelings with Damon Wilson too, because with our lack of pass rush this year, when Damon's basically, I think, in the top 5 in sacks this year in the SEC, I think he's 5th or 6th. So it definitely brings a tear to my eye seeing that.
Yeah, he's a stud. Thank you for him.
That's what concerns me the most, for the things that Missouri does well, and that's get after a quarterback. Their front 7 is pretty dang good. You've seen a lot of good results out of the front 7. A&M's got a good offensive line. I hate to say it. They really, really do.
They do.
They're really, really coached well. The scheme is tough to deal with, and coming off a bye week. Now, the one thing is, like, all the rah-rah stuff, Mizzou's going to come out incredibly fired up. I mean, A&M absolutely embarrassed them coming off a bye week last year at Kyle Field, an 11 o'clock kickoff. I was there. I left at halftime. I was so frustrated. I was like, I thought Missouri was going to come out with a little bit more in this game. Again,
you and me both.
Different Missouri team. Hoping to see Missouri really step up here. And like y'all kind of all alluded to, make it a game that goes 4 quarters. Let that crowd be involved in the game in the 4th quarter. Have, this A&M team that's been really, really good with second half adjustments. Y'all all talked about Elko a little bit. He's really good in that regard. Make it a game. Have the football with a chance to go score, take the lead. Let's just see what happens. Again, A&M's a good team, but like Maggie said, you're playing with a young quarterback that's inexperienced. And so just being in that ball game at that point, I think Missouri fans would take that and just roll the dice, see what happens from there.
And Zollers was a high recruit. I think, right. I don't know if he was like a top 10 in his class recruit. He's out of state of Pennsylvania. He's a stud. Like, you watch his film, he's a stud. So, I mean, if you watch when he played against Vandy, you could tell. So it's not like we're having, a 2-star, 3-star come out here. He was running with the ones a lot, based on what I was told, in the preseason, whenever they were trying to decide if it was going to be Horn or if it was going to be Pribula starting. I had heard it was more of a competition between Pribula and Zollers. So, I mean, the staff might know a lot more than we do in that regard.
I mean, they're gonna go out there, and I think that obviously it's gonna be an A&M team that knows all about Ahmad Hardy and knows that, hey, if they're gonna beat us, they probably need to limit possessions. They're gonna have to get this guy going. So yeah, there's gonna be times where Zollers has to make a throw to move the chains. He has to make a throw to keep that defense respectful of his arm, and it's these safeties off the line of scrimmage, these linebackers make them pause a little bit. So curious to see what Missouri looks like on offense. An opening script that is solid and turned into maybe 7 or 10 first quarter points would be a huge win for Missouri, even if, maybe it's a tie game, just showing that they can move the football and get that offense believing a little bit. But again, it's going to be a game that's won in the second half there. I think y'all all had really good takes on that. Let me ask you guys this. Anybody else? There's a couple other games in the SEC. We won't mention Ole Miss because they're playing the old Citadel. But anybody else that you would say maybe on upset watch a little bit? You've got Vandy hosting Auburn. That's a game really, I guess I think
that one. I think Auburn is due. And obviously they played really closely with us. They played really closely with Texas A&M. I think that they're coming off this firing finally, right? It'll be interesting to see if they are playing for Auburn now. You know, they're like, okay, we finally got rid of this guy. And I don't know their relationship with Hugh Freeze by any means. Like, they could have loved him. I don't know. But I do think that they'll come out. No.
No. Negative.
I do think that they'll come out and be ready to finally get that dub and prove that they're heading in the right direction with that.
I can agree with Maggie on that too. I think Auburn's defense is a push to Pavia's offense. And if they can find any rhythm on offense, I would be trying to get the ball in Cam Coleman's hand about every other play. It's just like with the Missouri game. If you don't have Hardy with at least 15 to 20 totes, probably within the end of the third quarter, something's wrong. It's the same principle. I think that's a very good game where Auburn could come out there and shock. You've got nothing to lose. They're under the redirection of the interim coach. There's a lot of times those guys will light and ignite under that. And that's something good to see. And again, just great for football to see them come out and do something like that, because I think Auburn has the ability to go blow for blow with them.
Yeah, I agree with what they're talking about. One or two things happen when you have a firing like that. The team either quits, they don't care about the season anymore, or they come out really fired up. And I don't think that they liked Hugh Freeze, as Coach kind of alluded to with the head shake. So I expect them to come out fired up, and they got the athletes to stay in the game with Vanderbilt and take that thing to the second half. And you have to think eventually in the second half, that offense is going to make a play. You got two talented playmakers, especially with Cam Coleman, to not eventually get over the hump. And Vanderbilt's really good, starting 11 on offense, defense. It's the depth behind that. They don't have it. We saw it against Texas, even though that was a weird finish. I heard a bunch of Texas people whining about officials. Might have had something to do with it. I don't know. But the talent discrepancy between the Auburn Tigers and the Vanderbilt Commodores is there after the starter. So I expect Auburn to take that one deep into the game. And yes, get over the hump this time. And it's kind of weird to say Auburn over Vanderbilt as an upset, but that's where we are. And I think
yes.
Give me, I'm still going to roll with Vandy in that one. I definitely see the path to victory for Auburn. Hey, Texas threw a ton of screens, ran a ton of quick stuff, and said, hey, this Vanderbilt team does not tackle super well. And then that was their worst tackling performance of the season on Saturday. So, yeah, like Coach said, get those big receivers to football, preferably in a little bit of space, see if Vanderbilt can tackle them. Because, hey, Auburn's defense is good enough to hold Vanderbilt to the low 20s, in my opinion, kind of like Coach was alluding to. They've got a really, really dang good defense. Obviously, Dave, Bart, y'all know about that Auburn defense. Y'all saw what they can do firsthand. Should be a good one. Should be a lot of fun. I know Vandy's going to come off pretty upset after that loss to Texas, but again, Vegas agrees with you guys. I think the last I checked, there's like a 6.5 point spread on that. So they expect it to be a game going down to the fourth quarter. But overall, I don't know if you could call any of the other games here an upset. I guess LSU beating Bama would be a pretty massive one now that I think about it. I just don't think there's a chance in health, honestly, that happens. Any of you guys think there's a chance that Alabama at home takes a loss to a interim head coach at LSU?
You bet your ass I think there's a chance. I mean, look, we keep talking about teams of athletes. The LSU Tigers have them on both sides of the ball. Brian Kelly was a problem. That's been taken care of. LSU plays Alabama tooth and nail, year in, year out. They're going to want something to feel good about this year that's not gone well for a very highly touted team. I wouldn't at all be surprised to see LSU give Alabama a game. Kalen DeBoer is having a really good year. People forget earlier this season after Florida State thumped them in the opener, people wanted him fired. He's coming off a year where they had 3 losses, not acceptable for Alabama. So, yeah, I think there's every shot LSU goes on the road, and I'm not going to say they're going to win the game, but if it's close late, I'm not going to be surprised at all.
It's unique too, because you look at Texas A&M, how they've, flexed their muscles after that big win at LSU. If I'm the interim coach, I'm saying you're playing for pride. You're playing for this program. There's a lot of differences that do that. And sometimes that'll bring the moxie that you want to see in your program. And you're right. They have athletes on both sides of the ball. The problem that they've had is Garrett Nussmeier has completely underachieved this year as the quarterback for the LSU Tigers. And that's something that, to me, you all of a sudden change up a little bit of the game plan. You start putting him in more comfortable situations. congratulations. I know he's played a lot of the season hurt as well, but you're right. I think it could be a tough ball game with Bama and with LSU, because like it seems that always every year, no matter what, it seems to be, nip and tuck as they go through the ball game. So there is a good chance. I could see there being, some hard fought swings throughout that ball game, but you just never know. But I think everybody's wanting to swing Bama's way just because of the consistency. I mean, if you think about it, we had 2 Power 4 programs that were in the top 5 this year after week 4, week 5, and those 2 head coaches now are fired. So, when you look at Brian Kelly and you look at James Franklin, with Penn State and with LSU. So many things can happen throughout the course of the year, and that's the beauty of it. And I'm here for it, to see LSU go in there and try to take care of business. And if they can't, Dave, I'm pulling for you, brother, because I know y'all got Bama too, and we need another loss from them boys to help us in the SEC run as it goes, as long as we can take care of business in the next 2 weeks.
Is there any chance that that they don't start Nussmeier?
I could see that happening, honestly, just for the simple fact of, the change. It's just like with anything else. It's just like with Pribula being hurt and you having to put in Forrest Zollers in. We had KJ Bolden go out due to an unintentional targeting. We had to force a safety into position that we've been wanting to see out there. A lot of times, sometimes when you have to induce that involuntarily, it has to be forced into the situation. It could sometimes be a blessing in disguise. And I think that sometimes where you have those exchanges that take place, so whatever they decide to do, I know they're going to do the best chance they can, and obviously to want to win the ball game. So I would say right now there's probably a better chance of him playing versus not. But if he's injured and can't go, I mean, obviously as a coach, I want to put the best player in the game that's going to help me win. So I'll be very curious to see what they do with Nussmeier.
Well, that's really well said. And I can see a situation where if it's not Michael Van Buren, if it is indeed Garrett Nussmeier, and that offense struggles for a quarter and a half, they turn again to MVP, because they don't have a running game, and that's a huge thing.
No.
They have all the speed in the world at wide receiver. Don't really have a true big possession guy outside of Nick Anderson, but you got to be able to run the football in this league.
Yes.
We've seen how a limited ground game, how much that can limit an offense overall. And so when nobody respects your ground game and you can't block anybody, you can't really pass protect, it gets really difficult. And they're not going to fix that, in my opinion, through a bye week. And that's why I find it very, very hard. I think that Alabama's defense is really, really locked in. They get Titletown gets up for this game every single time LSU comes in. And so I would love it, though. Need the help. Need it. I would love nothing more.
I wish in that game, though, I wish they would have put that game at the 11 o'clock slot, and I wish they would have given Texas Tech that 6:30 spot.
Yeah, they should.
When that came out, that bothered the crap out of me.
What time is the Missouri A&M game this week?
We're 2:30 Central.
Oh, they didn't give you a night game at Faurot Field?
No.
That's a bummer.
They don't love to do that for us. They gave us Alabama at 11 a.m. and it was a top 15 matchup. So
I have a lot more optimism for Missouri if that was a night game at Faurot, because that does get crazy. But
they did give us a night game for Mississippi State next week.
Gotcha.
So
Hey,
they're like, season finale, we'll give you one.
Y'all go to Oklahoma, correct?
We do. And then we end at Arkansas. I will be in Norman.
There you
I
go.
will be boots on the ground. My first time, actually. And it's just kind of crazy because I was in the Big 12 with them whenever I was in school. So, but I just never went.
Maggie, correct me if I'm wrong. Doesn't Missouri actually have 4 SEC games remaining? I think they're the outlier. I think everybody else either has 3. I think we have 2.
Yeah, we don't play. We don't have a late non-con game. So we have this week A&M, next week Mississippi State, then at Oklahoma and at Arkansas. Because we started with all of those home games for God knows why. It was terrible because like I said, I go to every game, so fans didn't really, we didn't really appreciate that. But yeah, we have those 4, so we still have a gauntlet left.
Respect, though. I mean, you're gonna know exactly where you stand after these next 4 weeks, and you have everything right there still in your own control as far as making the college football playoffs, making the SEC title. Maybe not, but hey, that's just the world you live in when you have a 16-team conference and not everybody plays one another. And a couple of these teams are having the seasons that they've had. But all right, guys, it really means a lot. Thank y'all all for joining me. All you guys in the comments, really appreciate it. Go throw a like on this video, whether you're watching on YouTube, watching on Twitter, you're watching on X, whatever. Go ahead and retweet it for us. But yeah, if you haven't subscribed to Inside Texas, go ahead and do that. Don't care if you're an Aggie, you're a Sooner, you're an LSU fan. Well, we're going to continue with our Wednesday Around the League segment, usually at 7 o'clock Central Time. And you'll see all the 3 of these guys' faces and gals back on this channel in the future. But in the meantime, y'all have a good rest of your Wednesday evening. Get ready for a fun-filled weekend of not only SEC football, but college football all around. Y'all have a good night, guys. Thanks for being here.
See you.